Enjoyed Dr. Linda. Alcohol,
sex,
food,
gambling,
drugs,
internet,
love.
spending.
There are a million addictions, and everybody is recovering from something. Here to help, it's Recovery Wednesday with America's original radio psychic, Dr. Linda Salvin, along with addiction specialist Candy Finnegan from the Emmy Award-winning television show Intervention. Candy and Dr. Linda are two gals who know recovery because they are in recovery. Listen as they help you bring your recovery to the next level, help you solve your thorniest issues in ways you may have never imagined. Together, they bring you the tools and techniques that bring balance, serenity, and recovery to your life, and the tools you need to find solutions for healing from the disease of addiction. Candy teams up with Dr. Linda to share their over 60 years of combined experience dealing with all areas of recovery. In her decades as a metaphysical clinician, Dr. Linda has helped thousands of people worldwide solve problems on the air and in person with her insights and solutions. So pull up a chair, turn it up, and get ready for a visit on the path to recovery with the one and only Dr. Linda. And now, live from Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Linda Salvin and Candy Finnegan.
Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Linda Salvin, and it is time for another Recovery Wednesday. Unfortunately, Candy can't make it with us today. She's working with an adolescent group that she's very involved with as a drug and alcohol abuse counselor, interventionist, and she's so busy she couldn't get back to a landmark or even on her phone with reception. We've got some bad reception problems going on out here in LA. So I'm going to do the show, but I would love for you to call in, or I'd love for you to chat. And a Rebel at the station is going to join me. We're going to be talking about the crossroads of life. So if you're at the crossroads, shouldn't I? Should I break up? Should I get involved? Should I take the job? Should I quit? Should I resign? Should I move? Should I travel? Do I really want to get sober? Do I want to lose weight? Do I want to stop smoking? Do I want to get out of this relationship? You know, we always have decisions and conflict in our lives. Everything is an option. Everything's a question, but the question is, which is the right road? In this show, the right road, at least for our purpose, is sobriety, getting clean, stopping smoking, being healthy, doing the best you can to improve your well-being for the longevity of your life. You know, when we're younger, we think we've got forever. When you're older, you know you've got mortality issues coming up, facing you more and more. And I'm 70, but I don't know how many more years I have left. It could be 5, 10, it could be 25. Like my father's turning 95. He's got 25 years on me. So we don't know. That's the crapshoot in life. The only thing we leave to God is how and when we're going to die. That is never predicted by any psychic. I know a few readers that can tell when someone's going to die, but I don't, and most aren't supposed to, because there is usually a backlash. In my situation, my career as a metaphysical healer, psychic, medium, broadcaster for 30 years has been focused on giving direction, predictions, doing private sessions, healings. I used to channel all the time, meaning I would communicate with the other side to give you messages of closure and comfort to help you understand what's going on with a lost loved one or even a pet. That's not this show. That's the Thursday show. It's the Tuesday show. But the show today, this particular broadcast with Recovery Wednesday, is how you get over certain addictions. We're all addicted to something. We're addicted to the internet. That has become the biggest addiction because there's dopamine stimulation where we wake up in the middle of the night, got to check your phone. You got to make sure somebody emailed or texted or posted some stupid reel, something. You got to get that stimulation. Like, oh, I got my fix. Okay. Everything needs a fix. You can't just walk through life without having a fix because it gets really boring and we need stimulation. I can be addicted to reruns of TV shows and just let it be in the background while I space out in thought. That's also an addiction where I don't want to be motivated to do some work until it's time. Okay, I got to get on the air. Now I got to call my clients. Now I got to do this. Now I got to do that. And I get in my momentum. We all have a pattern. We all have a routine. So call me or text or chat, whatever it is, and let me know what your routine is. However, if you or somebody you know is severely addicted to drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, vaping, candy, cookies, sweets, can't stop eating, compulsive eating, throwing up, diuretics, laxatives, that's all part of the eating disorder. There's love addiction, where you're in love with somebody, but they don't even know that you exist, but in your mind, you've got the relationship. Or you're a compulsive sex addict where there are people, I've talked to one guy, I think he had like 15 girls in 2 days or so. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. So there's excessive sexual addiction, but it's not about the love. It's about the conquer. It's about the release. It's about feeling needed or feeling prideful, I guess, is what one guy said. He accomplished what he wanted, but he felt like crap the rest of the time because he felt so low. Just like after a binge or after a binge of food or after a drinking binge, and you say, oh, I'm never going to do that again because you feel so bad and your energy is low, or the detoxing takes some time. But when you're a periodic user, drinker, or addict, I don't know for what other term to use, but when it's on and off and back and forth, and you can go a period of time without it, then you dive back in, the behavior is the same. So if you want to know how to stop that, that's what this show is about. We're in recovery. What is recovery? Recovery means you're no longer doing it a day at a time, and we use the 12-step programs to release the addiction by following some steps that have been suggested over the last 75, 80 years by two doctors that created the program, Dr. Bill and Dr. Bob, on how to get well. When you're young, especially now, it's not especially now, it's every generation, but every generation is dealing with a drug abuse crisis, whether it was pot, pills, heroin, now it's fentanyl, it was cocaine. There's always an overdose. There's always something going on. There's always something. Some people don't even know they're being drugged. Some people don't know that they've been slipped what we call the Mickey, where you have somebody's drink and somebody puts something in it. Next thing you know, they're passed out or they're dead. The GHB was another one, the date rape drug. People didn't know that somebody had put something in their drink at a bar, for example, and next thing you know, they're either in bed with somebody they don't know, or they're being raped, or they wake up and they're all black and blue and they didn't know what had happened. So there's no memory recall. Or the periodic drinker goes out, has a couple drinks, gets picked up, guys, girls, whatever, who's ever picking up who, and then they're in bed with somebody, they don't even know their name, but they're having sex. Or I have girls call me, oh, I am so in love with this guy. And I'll say, well, did you just sleep with him? Yeah. Well, how many times have you seen him since? I haven't. I said, you're not in love. The hormones kick in. The hormones with women, we sleep with some guy for twice. And the hormone, oh my God, I love him. I love him. Real love is about communication, partnership, companionship, spending time together, knowing the ups and downs, yelling, screaming, having fights, making up. But moving forward, regardless of the negativity. If you want to call in and join me, the phone number is 561-623-9421. I wish you guys would participate with the show. As you know, I did talk radio for almost 30 years, on and off for 30 years. And I need people to talk to rather than chat with. So if you're out there, by all means, you can be anonymous. You can say your real name, but let me hear from you. I don't do this because I have nothing better to do. I do it to help. I do it to be of service. I do it to educate. I do it to enlighten. I enjoy it. Of course I do. But it's real hard doing it alone. So I'm going to ask Rebel to come on and talk with me, because I cannot talk for 50 minutes on my own about recovery, spirituality, drinking, not drinking, abusing, or whatever, and some of the tools to use when you're at the crossroads of life. So prayer, meditation, talking to somebody, getting assistance. It doesn't mean smoking another joint to get loaded, to get your awe experience with the answer. And it doesn't mean to drink a fifth of something to be passed out to figure out that's how you're going to get through it. That's not the answer. But when you have a crossroads, it's like the main crossroads of this topic on this show is, are you ready for change? Are you ready to embark upon faith that you might get well, that you might feel better, that there is an option, that there's an easier, softer way to live than all the struggles and the pain and the depression and the anxiety and the broken relationships, the funding running out, not being able to manage your money, not shopping. Shopping's a work. Shopping and work can be a holic as well. You can shop, 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 shop to fill in the void, and you can work, work, work to avoid relationships. But then after a while, it's like, oh, I'm tired. Yeah, because you're done with all that energy. So what else is there? So, okay, I worked real hard. I might as well have a beer. Well, that, or talk, or get a dog, or go for a walk, or go to the gym, or read a book, write something, call somebody. You know, we don't really use the phone anymore. Everybody wants to text something, email something. We still need connection. Addicts, more than anybody, are isolators. They have a higher percentage of depression, anxiety, loneliness. It's deep. It's deep. So what does the recovery programs offer? What do they offer? Support, unity, community, and an option of more of how to get out there and to realize you're not alone. You're not alone. Whatever
Dr.
it is.
Linda,
Yeah.
how would you, if somebody, say someone's a little bit nervous, they've never been to a program before, what would you say as far as encouragement?
That's a great question. That's a great question, Rebel, because before I ever went into a meeting back in 1978, I believe was my first time. And it is scary because you wonder, we all have judgment. What are they going to think? How do I look? What do I say? How do I feel? What do they have that I don't? You just have to show up and realize that you're going for the same reason why they're there. They're there in a meeting of recovery, whether it's OA for Overeaters Anonymous, HAL for another form of food addiction with a more stringent program, AA for alcoholics, NA for drug addicts, CA for cocaine, MA for marijuana, DA for debtors. There it goes on and on. SLAA is Sex, Love, Addicts Anonymous, Addictions Anonymous. There's a program for everything. So yes, we walk in thinking, oh, I'm so embarrassed, or I'm so ashamed, or I don't want to be seen or found out. I don't want them to know. But not one person has ever entered that room without that feeling, because they had to start somewhere. I first really got sober, as I've spoken, I'm not afraid to admit it, 38 plus years ago. But I went in and out of those rooms for 4 years before I heard and identified where I thought, oh, that's what's wrong. Because with me, I mean, I wasn't the down and out drunken alcoholic. That wasn't me. I would party. I would have a couple of drinks. But my main thing was pot, downers, uppers, especially uppers. It was always uppers to lose weight, don't eat, get thin, and smoking a ton of cigarettes. And the alcohol came along and was all part of the scene, the college. That's how I was. My roommate was as straight laced as they come. If she had half a glass of wine, and here I was, the party girl, and we got out of school at the same time, and we both had hoped to find our husbands in grad school, and we did. And we had different behaviors, but we ended up in the same situation. She's now a retired MD. She's got 2 kids. She met her husband when she went to med school, and married a microbiologist. They're all retired now, which is great. But you start out thinking you're okay. We're still friends today after 46 years since grad school, I think. We all get together for the Michigan, as you know, I wear my Michigan hat at times, for the Michigan games. We're on the phone. But she may have different issues, but she never needed a program. And when I told her years ago I don't smoke anymore, she was shocked, because she couldn't stand the fact that I smoked in the apartment that we lived in grad school. But, stopping, asking for help, entering a room like Rebel's asking, that's the hardest part of the whole journey, is admitting and taking that first step. It's just taking that first step. I go back and forth and procrastinate with exercise. I got to get up. I got to do this. I got to do that. No, I don't. Yes, I do. Maybe tomorrow. Like most of us, it's the gym equipment's here, but I'm in the other room watching it. But I don't like to mention brand names, but Peloton has a really good inspiring commercial out right now that you don't have to get up to win the race. It's not like you're going to the Olympics, but just start at your own pace. And it's the same thing with recovery. Just because some people have 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years of sobriety, no drugs, no alcohol, you wonder, how do they do it? How does that happen? Or with me, how do you give up sugar? How do you stop eating carbohydrates? How do you not binge? How do you not stuff yourself with food all the time? How do you not have cravings? Or how do you not do cocaine? I wasn't a big I did coke like 5 times. I never got off on it, and I didn't want to become an addict. But I was put on diet pills at the age of 13 and stayed on them until I was 24. And then I didn't even know about the addiction, let alone what would happen if I went cold turkey, which I did. And that's where the pain comes, people. When you go cold turkey from alcohol, you go cold turkey from prescribed medications, amphetamines, barbiturates, if even coming off a pot. If you're a heavy pot smoker, your body is going to detox. And a lot of people don't understand the waves, the emotions, the pain that goes on with it. And the beauty of the support system is that somebody will say hi to you. They ask you in a meeting, with those less than 30 days, please, identify themselves. Hi, my name is Linda, and I'm a blah, blah, blah. And it's intimidating. It's scary. But then there's that relief of like, oh my God, I did it. You're not admitting it so much to them, but to yourself, that there's a problem. I can remember in high school, I was 17 years old, and I wanted so bad to tell my dad, I want help, I want off drugs, because I was smoking dope back then, hash dope, and I was on diet pills. But the diet pills the doctor put me on, I didn't know I was becoming addicted, but I was thin. All I needed to do was stay thin. I didn't know that life was everything else but being thin, because my mom wanted me to be thin. That was get thin. And I remember the fear. I can still remember it today, that I wanted so much, but I was afraid to talk to my dad. And I talk to my dad, and I talk about him all the time. He's 90, he's going to be 95. And he's always been one of my best friends. But back then I was still scared to admit I need help. So that was at 16 or 17. But I finally surrendered, gave it up, admitted to it, and took action at 31. How many years did I lose drinking, using, partying, having relationships that weren't going anywhere, drug, sex, rock and roll, high school, college, out of school, whatever, in those times, till finally I realized it's not working and I don't feel good. I didn't like the depression. I didn't like the guilt. I didn't like the thoughts in the morning. We all have them. But I can tell you, in sobriety and making a choice at that crossroad, like I can't do this anymore, and to take that first step and hear somebody say something that I can identify with, it changed my whole life. And I was scared to go back to a meeting, actually. From my experience, I started in OA in 1978, and then I left in 80. And I still had a head full of programs, because they say once you come into the rooms, it's never going to go away. You'll never be the same. And that's true, because you start to learn the spiritual aspects, and you start to identify what the disease is. The disease of alcoholism is the umbrella of what they call, whether it's alcohol, food, drugs, smoking, vaping, sex, shopping, gambling, debting, where you don't feel like you have enough money, or you're always in debt and you're always paying off credit cards or whatever. But the issues remain the same for all of us. It's learning to walk through it. And there's a lot of pain in getting sober from whatever your substance is. And that's another crossroads. Why? Because you're dealing with, and they say this in the program and any recovery center, or with an interventionist, or however your therapist might be working with you, somebody's got to help you. You cannot do it alone. There is no way you can do it alone, because emotions come up. And the emotions start to come up from the time you started using to where you might be in life today. So I was 13 when I was put on diet pills. So at 24, when I came off them, an emotional geyser took place for those 11 years of my life in school, all the way through college, out of college. It's like that whole chapter was reviewed. That's a lot of stuff, but the program helps people like you or me to put it in order to deal with it. And like there's a statement in the program where we do not shut the door on the past. We look at it, we can accept it. You can't change it. Obviously, we can't change the past, but we're given tools for the moment to heal and move forward. And that's the secret, that there is always a crossroad of light to go forward. Okay, you got fired from your job, you slept with the boss, you were in a car accident, your husband left you, your wife left you, your girlfriend left you, your mom and dad got divorced, your brother got killed, the dog died. There's always something. There's always something. I'm the biggest complainer. I can't stand this, production stuff. I can't stand the intricate details. And Rebel knows I fight it week after week after week. But once I'm doing the show, I'm fine. But techie stuff, I am not the techie person. But the passion will come out in the right areas, just like with you. If you're an accountant, or if you're a coach, or if you're a travel agent, or you're an insurance broker, or you're an actor, whatever, when you're working, that's when you're shining. But when you have to do all the other stuff, it gets a little monotonous. Or if you listen to my show from Psychic Solutions podcast yesterday, I had a chef on from the San Fernando Valley here in LA named Aaron Robbins, and he owns an amazing barbecue restaurant. But you should listen about why the prices are going up with their fast food joints, especially at peak times, and why the drive-through rates are up. You should understand what's going on behind the scenes in all restaurants, why prices are going up everywhere, even in the markets and the big box stores, as to what's going on with the inflation. But you would learn more about the anxieties and the fears we're all facing. And he was speaking more from the business perspective and the food perspective, even talking about how tomatoes weren't easy to get during the drought. And he needs it for barbecue sauce and salads and tomato sauce. And, you forget the process. And it's the same thing with drugs, alcohol, food, sex, work, shopping, debting, spending, gambling. It's the same ring, that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. But how do you cope with it? It's the people that keep going and don't give up when you're at that crossroads that continue to succeed. It looks like some people have it together more than others. Our outsides are one way, especially, and you can agree with me on this, Rebel, the social media today, especially the kids growing up on Instagram and TikTok. They've got lashes out to here and nails like daggers and hair, and everybody wants to look like a Kardashian, and everybody's got these images of what humans are supposed to be, but it's all doctored up online. And it gives a lot of people a negative self-worth image. So when you're at a crossroads, especially some of the children, the younger people online, you hear about the suicides, you hear about the bullying, you hear about the negative feedback. It's horrible. I was bullied a lot in school. I know what that feels like. I've been bullied in my career as a psychic. I know what that feels like. But why do we have to keep doing it to especially the young kids online? They're mean. Kids are mean. Kids love to needle. A lot of times you might push the button on somebody's emotions. That's the straw that broke the camel's back. And maybe they go out and get loaded. Maybe they go out and get drunk. Maybe they go out and commit suicide because they couldn't handle it anymore. When you're at that kind of crossroads where the pain is so intense, you need help. When my mother died, it's going to be 15 years in a couple of weeks. We're hitting the 15-year mark. I'll be out of town. I'm taking a trip while that time hits, because I don't want to be in Los Angeles feeling it. You can't escape it. I just want to be someplace different. But it was the weirdest, strongest, horrible pain I'd ever felt. And I would cry, or I'd be in the fetal position, but I didn't pick up a bottle of beer or a Kahlua or a joint or take extra pills to numb the pain. I stayed with friends. I'd go to a meeting. And when I did go to a meeting, this is interesting. I was at a meeting, I think the day or two after my mom had died, and I was freaked out. And I spoke to a guy next to me, and I had shared that my mother had just died and I was a little overwhelmed. And then he tapped me on the shoulder. He goes, "I lost my dad the same day." So you never know. I just got chills, and you might get chills when I say this, because God, the universe, the timing, the synchronicity of life is going to take care of you. So here I shared with somebody going through the same experience as me at the very same time as me. We are never alone. So even though you're at the crossroads of something, you're not alone. You can stay alone if you want to. Part of my addiction is I stay in my head. It's called stinking thinking. I think. That I said, okay, go work on the book, go do production, go deal with a client, go ship candles, whatever I do, because I have multifacets of departments in my company. But sometimes until I get motivated, it's like I got to think it through, kind of meditate through it. And I'm grateful for all I've created, but all that came through my state of sobriety. I didn't have all this before I was sober. This came as a gift. So when you're at the crossroads, the fear is going to be overwhelming. The first step is go online, Google Alcoholics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, the HOW program. HOW stands for HOW. It's CEA HOW, which is Compulsive Eaters Anonymous. HOW, which stands for honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. It's a little more strict for weighing and measuring food, so that you're out of the compulsion of overeating. Some people drive around, eat all day, and they can't stop. Some people are nighttime eaters after minimally eating all day and then gorge at night. There's different forms of eating disorders. There's bulimia, there's the compulsive overeating, there's the anorexia, and that's all part of recovery too. I had to learn how to eat after I got off the diet pills, because I was never really taught how to eat right, because I was always medicated to not be hungry. Now it's Ozempic. I'm not going to take Ozempic. I'm afraid of frozen stomachs, even though I'd love to lose another 20 pounds. It's in my head. Do you think the world's like, oh, she needs the 20 pounds? Yeah, some people. Other people don't care because they're too wrapped up in their own heads. That takes you back to Rebel's question. How do you get going if you're afraid to take that first step? When you take a step to go to a meeting, I promise you, everybody else is more self-absorbed and into their own selves than they are you. They may notice that you're new. They may notice, oh, it's a nice blue blouse, a nice blue shirt. Oh, they got pretty hair. It's a cool hat, whatever. They're not judging, oh, dead and drunk alcoholic, here we go, or a drug addict. No, maybe they'll say, can I help you? It's all backwards. Your fear is going to keep you from taking that first step. Good question, Rebel.
So if they don't have someone to talk to, or they think they don't have someone to talk to on the outside, would going to a meeting actually maybe help that situation? Would meetings be like a building for people, like
Yes.
a stable foundation?
Absolutely, because there's meetings all over the world, and especially since the internet blew up with Zoom and everything, especially over a lockdown, there's meetings online all the time. There's meetings in person now that, over the last few years we opened up again. Most of the meetings are held in churches or schools in a big conference room, and people sit there, and they will also, the leader or the leader of the meeting will, at the end of the meeting, or when they're giving the secretary's report, they will say, if you're new or you need a sponsor, people will raise their hand saying they're willing to sponsor somebody, meaning somebody's got more time. They're willing to help somebody learn the steps in the program and feel safe and have somebody to connect to. And then there's offers of phone numbers. There's a phone list. So, and I have a few of them. I don't need it because I have my network of people I have accrued through the years of who I trust. But we're never alone. We think we're alone. So if somebody needed help, or like, oh, I really don't want to go to that bar tonight. I really don't want to get drunk, but sometimes I can't stop it. If somebody makes a phone call, and even to what's it called, the central office, and they don't know anybody, maybe some guy named Jim picks up. Hi, Jim. Hi, my name's Linda. I'm really scared. I want to get sober. I don't know what to do. I want to go to this bar, and he'll talk me out of it, or him out of it, or her out of it. Somebody will give ideas. Now, whether that person who's in trouble or pain follows through is not up to that person. All we can do is offer suggestions. When I talk about God on my shows, which I have since 1994. I'm not talking about a religious God. I'm not talking about Jesus or Jewish temples, of which I'm Jewish, or a Buddha, or the Hinduism, or anything other than a butterfly. It's spirit. But it's like if it's my will to drink, overeat, get loaded, smoke cigarettes, cheat, whatever, the opposite is God's will, which is to stay sober, clean up your finances, get healthy, don't drink, don't eat, don't smoke, don't whatever. And all of a sudden, if I start to see why I hurt so much by going in that direction, but if I let go and have that trust and surrender, oh, I do feel better. Oh, it was a better day. Oh, I did meet somebody new. Oh, I do have the ability to concentrate or save money or go on a trip or whatever. You get out of the walled cage that we put ourselves into. It's dark and we know it, but we think we can handle it. A lot of denial. I don't have a problem. They don't have a problem. He doesn't have a problem. My wife doesn't have a problem. My husband doesn't have a problem. They have problems. And then when somebody's really ready to see beyond the problem, the hardest part is looking at self. I don't have a problem. Why would you say that? Well, because you're the storm in everybody else's life, but they don't see it. Candy, who would be here, is a very well-known interventionist. And what she does is she meets with the families and she will deal with the family's addicted person. Maybe it's a son, a daughter. It could be the mother, the father. It could be an aunt and uncle, whatever the relationship is. But she's called in to be the mediator from a loving place to help them see they need help. And a lot of times Candy will help facilitate the movement of bringing the family together to tell that person, hey, we all love you. We want to see you get help. We want to see you get sober. We want to see you dry up. We want to see you straighten your life out. And then there's often a surrender where that person will, let's just call her Kathy. I'm just making things up. So this daughter, Kathy, is finally, so strung out on heroin or fentanyl or pot or drinking or whatever, and can't get her life together. Yells, screams, has psychotic breaks, all sorts of stuff. I mean, this is extreme. But Candy might be the one to open the door to get them into a recovery center. So there might be a 30-day hold where there's therapy and detox and program and education to give the person hope that you don't have to stay in this mess of pain and conflict. And then all of a sudden the light goes on. There is not 100% recovery rate, no, but there's a lot of, I think it's over 75% recovery, maybe even 80. I don't know the statistics. Candy would know better on that end. As far as what recovery is, the longer you follow the rules or the suggestion. They're not really rules, they're steps. They're suggested methods that help people. Two alcoholics, Dr. Bob and Dr. Bill, back in Akron, Ohio, back in the 30s, started the whole thing because they needed help. They were in and out of hospitals. Nobody could help them. And finally, they found and were channeling a spiritual method that is amazing. If you read or get a hold of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, read it. You will find yourself in there. Substitute the word alcohol for food, sugar, carbs, gambling, sex, love, smoking, tuning, inhaling, whatever it is. Probably now we can even say scrolling, on the internet. Substitute the word, but watch the story and how they define it. And you're going to go, that is me. There's not a person on this planet that can't benefit from what was created with the 12 steps. It's amazing. And personally, in 2022, I was in Detroit and I drove down to Cleveland, and then Candy suggested I go over to Akron where the Dr. Bob's house was. And I went into Akron and I saw where they created the big book. I saw where they used to detox the real heavy duty alcoholics. I saw where it started. I saw the beginnings, and it was quite interesting. And going up the steps in Akron, Ohio, there's 12 steps, cement steps, getting up from the pavement up to the house. It's really cool. But there's a program to help people. A lot of people think they have all the answers because they've combated their own demons. That's fine. I'm not saying this is the only way. No, it's not a cult. No, it's not religion. No, it's not strict. No, it's not hard. The first step is just becoming willing. The first step is admitting you have a problem. And none of us want to admit that we're not perfect or that we have a problem. whether it's communication, whether it's substance, whether it's driving, whether it's spending, whether it's eating, whether it's shopping, you know, yelling, abuse, bullying, screaming. I was just watching some horrible reel on Instagram about a dog. I don't know what country this was, but a dog started running after a cop on a horse. And the horse got crazy because the dog made it nervous. So the horse was up on its hind legs, and some man came running and beat the dog. The dog was just excited to see the horse. Personally, I almost start crying because I'm so sensitive to animals that there could have been another way to handle the dog that was out of control without beating it up. You could have, I don't know what it would have been, but it was just watching how horrible the dog was treated as a result of scaring the horse. I get nature, I do. But I'm so sensitive, there's a lot of things I can't watch. Just like, you know, the reels from Africa, and you see a big hawk getting most last time I saw it, got a deer or something that's flying in the sky with this animal hanging. I'm like, oh my God. And even here in Beverly Hills about 3 years ago, I was coming back to the valley where I live, and there was a hawk in Beverly Hills that picked up a mouse or a rat or another bird, and I watched it fly off, and I thought, oh, that poor thing. But that's nature. That's just what they do. They have to feed off each other. But as a human that's sensitive and I see these actions, it hurts. I want to cry. I don't know if I was that sensitive before I was sober. Why? Because I was too clogged up in my thoughts or my drug or my school, and I had blinders on. Most of us have blinders on. The beauty of the 12 steps and the beauty of the Crossroads, that you can make choices, and the beauty of recovery is the blinders come off and you get to see things. The grass is really green. The sky is really blue. I'll tell you where I'm going on my vacation. I'm going to the Arctic Circle. I told Rebel the other day, I'm going to Alaska. I mean, it's only 19 below last I looked last night. And I'm going into Fairbanks for a few days, and I'm taking this tour up to a spot up near the North Pole where I'll see Santa. And then we fly to the Arctic Circle, which is, you know, the North Pole. I'm going to the furthest northern spot on the planet. I know it sounds crazy, but I want to see the Northern Lights. It has been one of my dreams all my life to not be on acid or mescaline or something to see painted skies, right? No, it's real, where the sky and the sun and the moon and the auroras, they just light up the sky in greens and blues and pinks. They've got them all over, you know, Canada, Alaska, Norway, Iceland. So I thought, I'm just going to go. I'm just going to go. What am I waiting for? You know?
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Now, you're going to the North Pole.
Yep.
There is rumor that there is positive energies there. Do you feel that it will charge your
Yes.
positivity
There's a
and charge
vortex.
energies?
There's a
Nice.
vortex. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it till I get there, but there's some type of vortex of energy. I have to do some more research on it, but it's kind of like going to Sedona where they have some of the vortexes. Certain points on the planet have these energy vortexes. They're called vortexes. So I have to do some more research. I don't know exactly where I'm going to be. I know the North Pole. Like, I can send you a postcard, say, "Love, Linda from the North Pole." You'll know it's me, right? But there's certain places that will stimulate. It's kind of like a white quartz crystal, which stimulates psychic energy and emotional purity. And I don't know exactly where that point is, but I'll find out from the guides that I'm with, not the spirit guides, but the real humans that are driving the vehicle and flying the plane, as to how that works. And I'll do the research, but this is true. And I know the same exists at the South Pole, Rebel, where, you know, you can go to the South Pole, you can go down to Antarctica, see the penguins, but then they also have a part of the South Pole that's limited to people. Hi, Constance. Constance is in Korea, everybody. I'm glad to hear from you. If you can call in, you can call in while you're driving. That would be terrific, and give an update. The number's 561-623-9421. Constance is, do the Egyptian pyramids have it? Yeah, they all do. There's these vortexes. I was going to go to Egypt for my 70th birthday in January, but the war broke out in Israel. October 7th, and it doesn't feel safe for me to go over there. They may have tours and everything, but I don't want to be around any of that negativity right now. And the pyramids, there's still those mysteries. There's some of the 7 biggest wonders of the planet. How does all this relate to being sober? How does all this relate to the crossroads of life? Okay. The opportunities. Hey, Sue, call in. 561-623-9421 is the number. See, Maribel, I used to do 2-hour shows, as I've said. It takes the first hour of all the talk, and then the second hour, they all want to talk to me. I'm going to have to ask Dina if we can do a 2-hour block somewhere, and then the show will be amazing. But the opportunities have come to me in the faith and the courage and the ability and the financial freedom. Well, it's not freedom. It's I've worked hard, have all come through sobriety. I work hard. If I were still messing around like I was in my 20s, I wouldn't have this opportunity now. No way. No way. This is hard work. It's all dedication. It's faith. It's courage. It's sobriety. It's being able to handle myself. It's able to say no to certain things. Even when they told me on the trip, where they're limited on food, where we're going to be up in this isolated area at the North Pole, and I have to prepare certain fruits and vegetables and nuts just to have my food, because I'm not going to eat some of this stuff I know they're serving. That's just not for me. I've learned to take care of myself most of the time. I'm not perfect, but I do take different nutritional products I talk about all the time, the DNA nutrition. And I have another product that detoxes the glyphosates, the molds, the plastics, and the metals out of our body. And my skin has changed. It's more clear. I sleep better. Inflammation's out of my body. I have products in the integrative health area to help you. My background's public health. I was in a plane crash. I became very psychic. I spent years on the radio as psychic. I got out of the paranormal after 22 years. Then I went more clinical, which is why it's called the metaphysical clinician, because I went from the woo-woo. I went from clinical woo-woo to clinical woo-woo. And I brought it all together to help on a whole different mind, body, spirit level without being too woo-woo. I hope you don't think I'm real woo-woo, because I don't really jive with the woo-woos anymore. But the real secret to your life is taking care of your insides. You got to heal the inside. And the emotional wounds come up, but we hide them and push it down with drugs, alcohol, smoking, food, whatever. We don't want to feel. There's a saying on, there's no healing without dealing with the feeling. We're lonely, we're angry, we're upset, we're resentful, we're happy, sad, glad. There's always an emotion, right? But to go back to the very beginning, so we're almost out of time already. That went fast too, Rebel, huh? The first step, if there's a meeting in your neighborhood and you're afraid, no, I'm a PhD, not an MD. I'm a metaphysician. I'm a PhD. I have a master's in public health epidemiology and a PhD in metaphysics. And I am board certified by the American Alternative Medical Association. It's all online at lindasalvin.com. But let's see, I got my master's in 77 and my PhD in 08, and this is 24. So I'm a little old, but I just keep going. The opportunities to heal are up to you. The first step is up to you. It's like taking that first drive over to the church in a dumpy little basement to say, oh my God, maybe I do need help. Maybe I should go to a meeting. And then something's going to be said that you might hear. I went back and forth to meetings. I never heard anything. And then one day a guy took me to a meeting. This guy who cut my hair, I was at the beach, and we went to a meeting. He said, what are you doing tonight? And I thought, oh, good, I got a date. And he took me to a meeting, but I was a man talking, and he said, alcoholism is anything that affects you from the neck up. And this guy was nicely dressed, clean shaven, wearing a suit. He said, whether it's drugs, alcohol, smoking, food, cocaine, whatever, anything that affects you from the neck up will be included in the umbrella term of alcoholism. And I heard it. I understood it. It wasn't my idea to put me on diet pills at age 13. But from that, I think I started smoking cigarettes at 14, and then I smoked dope, and then I got into the alcohol, and probably as we were graduating high school, and well, Boone's Farm wine, if you call that alcohol, it's all sugar. But once I got into school in San Francisco, then it was whiskey sours, and I was always more on the sweet drinks. I like the sugar because my body craves sugar. I don't do sugar anymore. It's 13 years, no sugar, no processed food, no white flour. 13 years. I've cleaned it all up. Otherwise, I'm too imbalanced. And the food, the alcohol, the processed foods will help add to your moodiness. We don't see that because they don't tell you that if you eat this, you're going to get depressed or get moody. Yeah, you'll gain weight. Yeah, you're going to be constipated. You're going to be whatever. But we don't understand that food and nutrition make us feel bad. I'm here to help you on all levels. So if you're at the crossroads of alcohol, drugs, addiction, food, relationships, career decisions, there's ways to stay focused. There's ways to find people to help you. You're never alone, anybody out there. You're never alone. We think we are. You go outside, there's a whole world of people. Are they your village? Maybe not. But you find them when you stop going in the wrong direction, the right people find you. It's hard. It's scary. We all have the insecurities of what are they going to think if they knew this about me? We're all the same. My job is to help you cross the road to a happier existence where you feel healthy, you feel strong. One thing to go to the gym and work out and look great, but how many people are, buffed and muscular or have little tiny yoga bodies, but they're miserable, they're lonely, or they still go out to drink that night, or they're still, doing coke and pills because they don't feel good. They look good, but they don't feel good. It's an inside job, folks. The better you feel on the inside, the easier it's going to be on the outside. That's today's show. I think we got just a couple more minutes. If anybody wants to call in to say hello real quick, 561-623-9421. Unless, Rebel, you got something to contribute about the crossroads. But it was a great question because it's that first step that's the scariest, Nobody wants to admit they hurt or they
never do. They never want to see what happens, and then when they do see what happens, it's scary for them, and they kind of deny it. Now, I do want to say, if anybody feels that they're in the crossroads, or if you stumble or anything, please just let it be a stumble. Please get back, because it's not. You have not thrown it all away. It's not
That's
forever.
right.
It is something you can come back from. It's just a bump in the road. And don't be too hard on yourself. No, it's not a great thing that you stumble, but you've been there before. You can pick yourself back up and you can do this again and get back on track.
That's true, because sometimes the longer you go without the substance, whether it's the drug, the alcohol, the food, whatever, cigarettes, whatever, tobacco, once you go back into it, sometimes the disease, the addiction, the cravings, or the experience of the depression can escalate even faster than the last time you had the substance in your body, because your body's like on fire for it. And next thing you know, yes, everybody has demons, but my show is about how to conquer them. If you've known my work for 30 years, okay. Why have demons when you can heal them? That's the peace of mind that people are looking for, the serenity, the integration, the strength. We all have secrets. We all have the skeletons. But I got tired of living in pain. I come from 3 suicides. I come from not the prettiest background. I come from a wonderful family in many ways, and we had our secrets in others, like everybody. But I wasn't happy. I didn't feel good. I know what I did wrong. I had to change for me. And because of it, my life opened up, like a peacock, like a butterfly spreading its wings after being in a cocoon. I'm going to close with the poem, Rebel, and then we can sign off. Like the poem about God, are you real? Everybody wants to know how I see God. And why do I talk about God? Well, because I learned in the program, but I also found God when I was in a plane crash hit by a fire truck and totaled the car and had the white light experience in 1981, 82, and 84. So I'm on a little higher frequency than the average person when it comes to all this. But it says, God, are you real? The child whispered, God, speak to me. And a meadowlark sang, but the child did not hear. So the child said, God, speak to me. And the thunder rolled across the sky, but the child did not listen. So the child said, God, speak to me. The star shone brightly, but the child did not see. So the child said, show me a miracle. And a child was born, but the child did not know. So the child said, touch me, God. Show me you're real. Whereupon God reached down and touched the child, but the child brushed the butterfly away and walked away unknowingly. That's an old Sanskrit poem from the year 1200. And I've used that incessantly on my TV infomercial that's on YouTube. I use it on my website at lindasalvin.com. I recite it almost every show that I can squeeze it in because I want you to see what's really out there. Get out of yourself. Find that crossroad to spiritual growth, and you will become even more magnificent than you already are. That's it for today. Rebel, thank you so much for co-hosting with me, and I'll be back tomorrow with visions and solutions as the topic. So if you want to talk to me tomorrow, call in or chat, and we'll do more of the psychic stuff. This was more about the recovery because we're all recovering from something. Talk to you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed Recovery Wednesday. You can reach Dr. Linda at 888-509-1077 or at lindasalvin.com and Candy Finnegan at candyfinnegan@aol.com. Need a breakthrough of your own? Ready for answers or insights nobody else has? Reserve your own one-on-one in-person chat. Dr. Linda isn't just for other people. Dr. Linda gets results for you. And it's easy. Contact details are on screen now. Just click on lindasalvin.com or call toll-free 888-509-1077. That's lindasalvin.com or toll-free at 888-509-1077.